Ina mana, ina waka, ina reo, iro rangatira mā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora, my name is Rachel Froggatt and I'm Secretary General of the International Working Group on Women in Sport and of course Chief Executive of Women in Sport Aotearoa here in New Zealand. It's almost midnight as I address you today, so I haven't done this presentation live just for safety's sake, but I am in the background listening and will be contributing to the Q&A in a short while. It's a real privilege to be here today. Thank you to the organisers of Smart Cities in Sport for the invitation, and of course to Simon, our moderator, and to Cyril and Marion, and my fellow panellists. I've been asked to talk to you a little bit about a unique event that's taking place here in Aotearoa next year. It is the 8th IWG World Conference on Women in Sport. So not exactly a major sporting event of the scale of the Tour de France, for example, but something really important to us here in Aotearoa and something that we are creating both a local and global legacy from. So the IWG, first of all, just to introduce the International Working Group on Women in Sport. It began in 1994 at the first ever World Conference, and for the past 30 years has grown to become the world's largest network dedicated to gender equity and equality in sport and physical activity. And the World Conference is our major event each quadrennial period. It moves around the world, so every 4 years it's hosted by a new country, and over the past 30 years has been in the UK, Namibia, Japan, Canada, Australia, Finland, Botswana, and of course here in New Zealand at the moment. Now, why did we bring the IWG here to Aotearoa, New Zealand? There were a couple of key reasons. The first of was that we had some significant issues within our sport and physical activity system here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And you can see some stats up on the screen now that show you some of the issues. These are things that we felt very strongly needed to be addressed, and we needed a focal point in order to shape the system around that and move towards that. So we chose to bring to do the bid and bring the IWG here. So what are we actually doing? So there's 3 strands to our global strategy at the moment. The first is the development and launch just over a year and a half ago of the Change Inspires Change theme, which is really based around storytelling and encouraging our global and local networks to share what they are doing. So I'm going to show you our little theme video now.
Small changes can become great accomplishments. Joining from many sources, they flow together to create something mighty. Change inspires change, each with its own story to tell. Stories shaped by people and people shaped by stories. By changing the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Creating champions who don't live by what's engraved in their trophies, but by what's woven into the lives of others. Mā mua ka kite a muri, mā muri ka ora a mua. The International Working Group on Women in Sport has driven positive change for women and girls for more than 25 years. Aotearoa, New Zealand, home to 3 upcoming Women's World Cups, will host our conference in May 2022, the largest gathering on gender equity in sport and physical activity in the world, live in Auckland. Or follow the event virtually, collaborating with your international colleagues. You can also join our global community of action right now online. Mentor, be mentored. Inspire, be inspired. Sign up now to our tapestry of storytelling, woven with countless threads of change inspiring change. E hara taku toa I te toa takitahi, engari he toa takitini. Add your chapter to this story right now at iwgwomeninsport.org. Change inspires change.
Kia ora. So you will have seen at the end of that video a connection to 2 other major strategies. The first is the design and delivery of the IWG Insight Hub, which is a global and local legacy tool that we have built and is just a baby. It's only 4 weeks old, 4 or 5 weeks old. And it is the place that's going to host the world's best insight, content, stories, case studies from all around the world to showcase the amazing work that's happening towards gender equity and equality. We have around 50 insights on the hub already, which is not too bad given she's only a few weeks old. And we'd really encourage you to share your stories on this hub as well, to let other people know what you're doing and to help inspire them as well. The third part of the strategy is delivery of the event itself. So as I mentioned, it is a major industry event. In Botswana, it attracted around 1,200 global and local leaders from all around the world, from the upper echelons of the IOC through to local delivery agents across Africa. This time around, because of the impacts of COVID-19, a silver lining has been that we've been able to create this as a full hybrid event, which means we will be running the 4-day event physically here on the ground in Auckland, New Zealand, but also using a world-class conferencing system to create a highly interactive and immersive experience online as well, so that people can come in from wherever they are in the world, or if they happen to be here in New Zealand, and be well connected, be able to collaborate and be able to plan for the future, something we need more than ever because of the impacts of COVID. Now we're here to talk a bit about legacy, and I'm going to talk about this in two parts. The first part is that our local legacy from hosting IWG has been significant. So it came to us in October of 2018. We bid at the beginning of 2018. And in the short period between winning the bid and it arriving here, our government instructed our Sport New Zealand, our local Crown Agency for Sport, to put together the first ever national strategy for women and girls in sport, and to commit around 12.7 million to community sport at all levels, and about another 3 million to the high performance and elite end of the spectrum, to try to rebalance the inequities within the system. You can see some of the stats starting to come through, and we're not quite through the entirety of the strategy yet. We have another year or so to go, but we're already at a point where 91% of the 100 or so national sports organisations in the sector are already at 40% target of self-identified women on board. So given we started from about 40%, this has been a massive shift. We've had around 1,700 people participate in the first ever diversity and inclusion strategy and survey across the sector, creating a benchmark for the future. And we've had around 70 or so initiatives pop up right across the country that are dedicated to women and girls and increasing their participation, leadership and value and visibility. Finally, we've had around 60 women take part in a pilot, a high performance pilot, to encourage women into coaching positions. What's also been really fascinating and has come out of the fact we've had this strategy and we've had this focus is that we are now the host nation for 3 major World Cups. Over the next 2 years, we will deliver what we call here locally the Big Four. So the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup will be here in February, March. Ourselves as IWG in May, followed by the Rugby World Cup towards the end of next year. And of course, the big one, the FIFA Women's World Cup in partnership with Australia in 2023. Now, these big 4 are an enormous opportunity to shift the dial for women and girls in Aotearoa, New Zealand. There'll be no coming back from this. You will see the best of the best of the best and create a whole new perception and understanding of women's sport. All 4 of these events have legacy programs at play in the system as well, which we are also supporting. So that's the local legacy. In terms of global legacy, the IWG has provided a focal point for network members for almost 30 years. And we often see organisations using the World Conference and associated programming as an opportunity to encourage their communities to move towards gender equity and equality in sport and physical activity. And today I'm really proud to make an announcement, actually an exclusive announcement here at Smart Cities in Sport, to let you know that we have actually, as of today, entered into a formal partnership with the International Olympic Committee to come on board as a partner of the 8th IWG World Conference. Now, the IOC, as you know, has been working for many years on and off the field of play to advance gender equality in sport and physical activity. And we're absolutely convinced that the stories that will come out of the Olympic movement will add huge value to the conversation taking place both here in Auckland next year and online as well. I want to say an enormous thank you to IOC President Thomas Bach, who I know is with you as a keynote speaker, for his support and commitment to the 8th IWG World Conference, and also to Lydia Nasquera and Prince Faisal of Jordan, the Chair and Vice Chair of the IOC Women in Sport Commission, who have been so interested and engaged in this process all the way along. And of course to Marie Salwa, who I think is in the audience with you today, who is our strategic leader within IOC that we work with on a regular basis around this partnership. So we would love to see many of you with us in Auckland next year and online, and join us on the IWG Insight Hub as well. So kia ora, I'm happy to take questions at the end today.